First Contact Initiative. Commander Elena Santos stood at the observation deck of the UES Horizons, watching the quantum-fold drive's azure fields ripple across the ship's crystalline hull. After 15 years of development, humanity's crowning achievement was about to make history. The Horizons wasn't just Earth's first faster-than-light vessel. It was a testament to human ingenuity, carrying technology that had rewritten the laws of physics themselves. Final system check complete, Commander. Lieutenant Sarah Chen's voice came through the neural link. Quantum fold matrices are synchronized at 98.7% efficiency. We're ready for the jump. Elena touched the window, her reflection overlaying the distant stars. The specially engineered quantum glass felt cool under her fingers, designed to withstand forces that would tear conventional materials apart at the atomic level. Status of the First Contact package. All diplomatic protocols loaded and ready, Communications Officer Marcus Wong reported. Cultural database, scientific exchanges, peaceful intentions manifest. Everything the UN First Contact Committee prescribed. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, making peaceful first contact with an alien civilization. Now they would do it not as supplicants bearing simple radio messages, but as equals who had mastered the fundamental forces of the universe. The quantum fold drive was proof of that. By manipulating quantum fields on a macroscopic scale, it could bend space itself, allowing for FTL travel without the relativistic problems that had stumped scientists for generations. More than that, it represented a complete paradigm shift in humanity's understanding of physics. Multiple contacts. Tactical Officer James Rivera's voice cut through her contemplation. Massive spatial distortion at bearing 047 Mark 183. Reading. 15. No. 20 vessels emerging from some kind of FTL corridor. Elena's training kicked in instantly. Battle stations. Raise quantum shields but keep weapons cold. Let's not start first contact by appearing hostile. The crew responded with practiced efficiency as Elena made her way to the bridge. The Horizons might be primarily a diplomatic vessel, but it carried the most advanced defensive systems humanity had ever developed. The same quantum field manipulation that powered their FTL drive could generate shields that could theoretically withstand the force of a supernova. The bridge was a model of calm precision when Elena arrived. The holographic displays showed the emerging alien fleet, sleek vessels that seemed to be made of some kind of living metal, their hulls shifting and flowing like liquid mercury. Analysis. Elena asked, taking her command chair. Vessels range from frigate to dreadnought class, Rivera reported. Definitely military configuration, but their weapon systems appear to be powered down. They're arranging themselves in what appears to be a standard patrol formation. They're broadcasting, Wong announced. Wideband transmission, multiple frequencies. Universal translator is processing. Got it. A harsh, clicking voice filled the bridge. Attention unidentified vessel. You have entered space claimed by the Meridian Concordat. Power down your engines and prepare for inspection. Resistance will be met with immediate hostile response. Elena exchanged glances with her senior staff. This wasn't how they'd hoped first contact would go, but they prepared for less than ideal scenarios. Open a channel, Mr. Wong. Let's show them humanity's diplomatic face. Channel open, Commander. Elena straightened in her chair. This is Commander Elena Santos of the United Earthship Horizons. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration and first contact. We were unaware this region was claimed territory and apologize for any perceived intrusion. We would welcome the opportunity for peaceful dialogue and cultural exchange. There was a pause, filled only by the subtle hum of the quantum fold drive at idle. Then, your vessel's energy signature exceeds anything in our database. Explain this capability immediately. Elena could hear the fear poorly hidden beneath the demanding tone. She'd been briefed on this possibility, that humanity's quantum technology might be beyond anything local species had developed. It was a delicate situation that could easily spiral into conflict if handled poorly. Our vessel utilizes a new form of propulsion we call quantum fold technology, Alina replied carefully. It is based on principles of quantum field manipulation. We would be happy to share basic scientific information about this technology as part of a peaceful exchange. Another pause, longer this time. Alina could almost imagine the alien commanders conferring, trying to decide how to handle a species that had apparently mastered technology they didn't understand. Your vessel will submit to immediate inspection by Concordat forces, the voice finally responded. Any attempt to activate your quantum systems will be considered a hostile act. Alina's jaw tightened. The Concordat was clearly used to being the technological superior in any encounter. Finding a species with more advanced technology had pushed them straight to attempting to assert dominance. I apologize, but I cannot allow armed forces to board this vessel, Alina replied firmly. The Horizons carries sensitive technology. However, we are willing to provide detailed scans of our non-classified systems and participate in supervised cultural exchange at a neutral location. Your cooperation was not requested. It was demanded. The alien voice grew harder. The Concordat does not recognize the sovereignty of unregistered species. You will comply, or you will be compelled. Alina saw Rivera's hands hover over the tactical controls, but she raised a hand to stay him. They had one more card to play before this turned ugly. Perhaps a demonstration would help establish mutual respect. Alina said calmly, Mr. Rivera, please lower our quantum shields for exactly 5 seconds. Let them scan us fully. Commander. Rivera's surprise was evident, but he complied. The bridge crew watched as the alien vessels suddenly lit up with scan activity, their sensors probing every inch of the horizons. Alina counted down silently in her head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shields up, she ordered, just as the alien channel erupted with chaos. Multiple voices overlapped in various tones of shock and disbelief. Impossible. The power readings. How are they containing? It cannot be. Alina allowed herself a small smile. The aliens had just discovered that the Horizon's quantum fold drive wasn't just an FTL system. It was a controlled quantum singularity, harnessing power that their sensors probably couldn't even properly measure. When the main alien voice returned, the demanding tone was gone, replaced by something closer to awe. Your vessel. How? What are you? We are human, Alina replied simply. And we would still prefer to have this conversation as equals, focused on peaceful exchange rather than demands. Shall we start over? The silence that followed felt different this time, filled not with threat assessment and dominance games, but with the first stirrings of genuine respect. Sometimes, Alina reflected, the best way to achieve peace was to make it clear that war would be a terrible mistake. Perhaps, the alien voice finally said, we should discuss this further. Our paramount requests the honor of speaking with you directly. Alina nodded to herself. Now they were getting somewhere. We would be honored to begin proper diplomatic relations. Shall we discuss the arrangements? As her crew began coordinating the details of their first peaceful contact, Alina looked out at the alien fleet, their living metal hulls now seeming less threatening and more fascinating. This wasn't how they'd planned first contact, but perhaps it was better this way. Humanity had announced its presence not with aggression or submission, but with quiet confidence and overwhelming technological superiority. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter through the quantum glass. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same. The nature of power. The Meridian Concordat's flagship, Eternal Dominion, was a marvel of bioengineered technology. Its living metal corridors pulsed with neural pathways, and its command center was a cathedral of organic computing. But right now, all that technological achievement felt hollow to Supreme Commander Vexrith as he studied the readings from the human vessel for the 100th time. Impossible, he muttered, his forearms moving in agitation patterns. Run the analysis again. His chief scientist, Dr. Clara, mandibles clicking in frustration, complied. Supreme Commander, We've run it 12 times. The results remain consistent. Their quantum singularity drive, it doesn't just bend space, it rewrites it. The power output alone exceeds our entire battle fleet combined. On the main display, the UES Horizons hung serenely against the backdrop of stars. Its crystalline hull seemed to mock them with its elegant simplicity, so different from the Concordat's biological engineering approach. But it was what lay within that hull that had thrown the Concordat's entire scientific community into chaos. Commander Santos, Vexrith spoke into the comm channel, trying to keep his voice steady. Perhaps you could explain how your species managed to achieve quantum field manipulation on this scale. Our records show your civilization only achieved spaceflight within the last century. Alina's holographic image smiled diplomatically. Commander Vexrith, humanity has always excelled at technological leaps. When we discover a new principle, we don't just apply it, we reimagine it. The quantum fold drive began as a theoretical physics paper about manipulating quantum fields. Within 15 years, we turned it into the heart of our first FTL ship. Vexrith felt his secondary hearts skip a beat. The casual way she spoke of such achievement. 15 years. From theory to practical application of technology that surpasses designs we've refined over millennia. Sometimes fresh eyes see new possibilities, Alina replied. We'd be happy to share some of our basic research. As I said, we're here for peaceful exchange. Before Vexrith could respond, a priority alert flashed across his neural interface. Fleet Admiral Zarkax was calling. The highest authority in the Concordat military rarely involved himself directly in first contact situations. This was unprecedented. Secure channel established, his communications officer announced. The Admiral's image materialized, his scales dark with concern. Supreme Commander, your preliminary report is disturbing. A single human vessel with power signatures that exceed our comprehension. Their technology contradicts our understanding of physics, and now they offer to share knowledge. The humans appeared genuine in their peaceful intentions, Admiral Vexrith reported. Their commander has been remarkably patient, despite our initial assertiveness. Patience born of confidence, Zarkax hissed. They know we can't threaten them. The question is, what do they want? No species simply gives away technological advantages. On another screen, Alina Santos waited calmly, her image a study in diplomatic poise. Vexrith found himself wondering what lay behind that composed exterior. Did she know the chaos she'd unleashed in the Concordat's highest levels? Admiral, he said carefully, I believe this represents an opportunity. The humans' approach has been consistently diplomatic. Perhaps instead of viewing them as a threat. Everything unknown is a threat. Zarkax cut him off. Prepare a pro team. If they truly wish to share technology, they can prove it by allowing us to examine their vessel. Vexrith felt his scales ripple with alarm. Sir, with respect, that could be seen as an aggressive act. The humans have already declined direct inspection. Then they prove they cannot be trusted, Zarkax declared. No species achieves such advancement without conquest. They speak of peace while holding a sword to our throats. Proceed with the probe insertion. That's an order. The connection cut off before Vexrith could protest further. He looked again at Alina's waiting image, then at the horizons floating peacefully nearby. Everything in his experience told him this was a mistake. Supreme Commander, his tactical officer called out. Stealth probe is ready for launch. Vexrith chittered a curse in his native tongue. Commander Santos, he reopened the channel. Thank you for your patience. The Concordat leadership is processing your offers of exchange. Perhaps we could discuss the practical applications of your quantum field technology while they deliberate. Alina's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Of course, Commander. Though I should mention, your stealth probe's quantum signature became visible to our sensors the moment you powered it up. I would strongly advise against launching it. The bridge fell silent. Their most advanced stealth technology, detected before it even launched. Vexrith felt his primary heart nearly stop. "Commander Santos, It's all right," she interrupted gently. "We understand the impulse to gather intelligence. But let me be clear. We designed our quantum detection systems specifically because we knew we'd eventually meet other spacefaring races. There is very little you could do that we haven't prepared for." The implications of that statement hung in the air like a charged particle storm. This wasn't just about the quantum drive. Humanity had developed their technology with interstellar politics in mind from the start. However, Alina continued, her tone warming slightly. "We also prepared extensive scientific and cultural exchange packages. We genuinely want to share knowledge, Commander Vexrith, not because we have to, but because we believe advancement should lift all species together." Vexrith found himself faced with a choice that would reshape the Concordat forever. Follow orders and provoke a species that could probably swat their entire fleet aside like insects, or trust in the offered hand of friendship, even if it came from a position of overwhelming strength. "The probe team is standing by, Supreme Commander," his tactical officer reminded him. Vexrith straightened his spine. Sometimes leadership meant knowing when to disobey. "Stand down the probe. Clear all weapons systems." He turned back to Alina's image. "Commander Santos, perhaps we could begin with an exchange of cultural databases. I find myself very curious about a species that developed such power, yet speaks so earnestly of peace." Alina's smile reached her eyes this time. "We would be delighted, Commander. And perhaps over that exchange, we could discuss why your Admiral's Arcax is currently mobilizing the Concordat's reserve fleet." Vexrith's secondary hearts nearly seized. They'd detected that too. The movement of ships dozens of light years away. "Trust," Alina said softly, "works both ways. Commander, shall we try for some?" Looking at the human ship's crystalline hull gleaming with quantum energy, Vexrith realized that the galaxy had changed forever. The question was no longer whether humanity would reshape the cosmic order, but how. And perhaps, he thought, that reshaping could begin right here, with a choice between fear and understanding. "Yes," he said finally. "Let's try for trust." Legacy of innovation. Dr. Sarah Chen sat in her lab aboard the Horizons, surrounded by holographic displays showing the quantum field interactions that powered their ship. 15 years ago, she'd been a graduate student when her father, Dr. James Chen, first proposed the impossible, controlling quantum fields on a macroscopic scale. Now she was the lead quantum engineer of humanity's first FTL vessel, watching alien ships try to make sense of their technology. "Their scans are getting more sophisticated," she noted, tracking the Concordat's latest attempts to analyze their quantum drive. "They're actually starting to ask the right questions." Her assistant, Dr. Marcus Webb, nodded as he adjusted their field harmonics. "Should we be concerned? The more they understand, the more they might see us as a threat." Sarah smiled, remembering her father's words from years ago. "Understanding isn't a threat, Marcus. It's an opportunity." On her primary screen, the quantum singularity at the heart of the Horizons pulsed with controlled power. The alien scans couldn't detect half of what it could do, and that was probably for the best. Humanity had learned early that the best defense was the one you never had to demonstrate. "Dr. Chen." Commander Santos's voice came through the neural link. "How's our guest doing?" Sarah glanced at the sealed observation room, where Concordat science officer Clara was watching their quantum field demonstrations. The alien's mandibles hadn't stopped twitching since they'd started showing her the basics of human quantum manipulation theory. "She's processing," Sarah replied. "I think we broke her worldview about 6 times in the last hour. But she's asking brilliant questions. The Concordat may be militaristic, but their scientists are sharp. Good. Keep her engaged. The more they understand, the less likely Admiral's Arcax is to do something unfortunate with that fleet he's gathering." Sarah's hands moved across her holographic controls, adjusting the quantum field demonstration. "Speaking of which, the latest long-range scans show he's assembled quite a force. 87 capital ships, all with what they consider advanced weapons. Concerned, Sarah thought about the full capabilities of their quantum drive, most of which were still classified even to their alien guests. Not really. But I'd rather not have to show them why. The quantum displays flickered as another scan wave from the Concordat fleet washed over them. Sarah could almost feel their frustration. They kept trying to reconcile human quantum technology with their understanding of physics, not realizing that humanity had essentially rewritten the rulebook. Fascinating. Calera's clicking voice came through the lab's speakers. Your quantum field cohesion should be impossible at this scale. The power requirements alone would be impossible with conventional technology, Sarah agreed. That's why we had to develop quantum cascade reactors first. Once we could handle the power curves, the rest was just mathematics. Really, really complicated mathematics. Calera's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Your species developed quantum cascade technology as a prerequisite to your drive system. We considered such technology theoretical. Theory is just practice waiting to happen. Sarah quoted her father again. Humanity has always been good at turning impossible into when do we start. A priority alert flashed across her quantum screens. Sarah's hands flew across the controls, her augmented reflexes keeping pace with the cascade of data. Commander, we've got movement. The Concordat Reserve Fleet just made an FTL jump. They'll be here in 6 hours. Understood. Keep working with Calera. The more allies we have among their scientists, the better our chances of resolving this peacefully. Sarah turned back to her alien guest, whose mandibles were clicking rapidly, their equivalent of nervous fidgeting. Your admiral fears us, she said softly. Can you blame him? Calera responded. Your technology, your capabilities. They change everything. The Concordat has been the dominant power in this sector for millennia. Now, in a single day, change is scary, Sarah acknowledged. But it's also an opportunity. Humanity didn't develop this technology to dominate anyone. We did it because we wanted to reach the stars, to learn, to grow, to see what's out there and understand it. Calera moved closer to the quantum field display, her multiple limbs moving in complex patterns that Sarah's xenobiology training identified as deep thought. Your power could reshape the galaxy. Yet you speak of peace and exchange. Power isn't just about destruction, Sarah said, remembering the countless times her father had emphasized this point during the quantum drive's development. It's about possibility. The same quantum fields that could tear a ship apart can also heal radiation damage, clean polluted atmospheres, even terraform worlds. She brought up a new simulation, showing how controlled quantum fields could repair atomic-level damage. Calera's scientific interest visibly overcame her political concerns as she watched human technology defy yet another law of physics. Impossible, the alien scientist whispered, but this time the word held wonder rather than fear. That's the thing about the impossible, Sarah smiled. It just takes someone crazy enough to try. Humanity's been crazy like that for our entire history. We see limits and think, well, those are more like guidelines, really. A new alert flashed. The reserve fleet had adjusted course, accelerating. They'd arrived sooner than calculated. Sarah felt a familiar tension in her shoulders, the weight of knowing that peace or war might hinge on the next few hours. Calera, she said carefully, I need you to understand something. What you've seen, what we've shown you, it's maybe 5% of what the horizons can do. We're not showing off. We're holding back a lot because we don't want anyone to feel threatened. But if your admiral forces our hand, the alien scientist's color shifted, her scales darkening with comprehension. You've been demonstrating basic principles, haven't you? Just enough to prove your advancement, but not enough to show. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. The quantum fold drive isn't just an engine. It's a door to understanding the universe in ways your people haven't imagined yet. We want to share that understanding, to help all species grow together. But if we're attacked, she let the thought hang there, watching Calera process the implications. The alien scientist turned all four eyes toward the quantum core display, watching the controlled power of a technology that had rewritten the rules of physics itself. "I need to speak with Supreme Commander Vexrith," Clara said finally. "He needs to understand what's really at stake here." Sarah nodded, hope mixing with caution in her chest. "I'll have Commander Santos arrange it. And Clara, thank you for being willing to learn instead of fear." As the alien scientist left to make her report, Sarah turned back to her quantum displays. 6 hours until the reserve fleet arrived. 6 hours to prove that humanity's greatest power wasn't in their technology, but in their willingness to use it for peace rather than dominance. Her father would have been proud. Breaking point. Admiral Zarkax stood on the command deck of the Concordat dreadnought Inevitable Dominion, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as he watched the tactical display. 87 capital ships, the finest the Concordat could muster, arranged in perfect attack formation, against a single human vessel. "Status of the horizons," he demanded. "Unchanged, Admiral," his tactical officer reported. They maintained their position. No weapons signatures detected. Their quantum field remains active but stable. Zarkax's secondary hearts pulsed with irritation. The humans' apparent calm was maddening. Didn't they understand the force arrayed against them? Or did they simply not care? New transmission from Supreme Commander Vexrith's vessel. Communications announced. Priority 1. "Ignore it," Zarkax snapped. He'd heard enough of Vexrith's cautious diplomatic nonsense. "Begin combat deployment. Show these humans what real power looks like." On the Horizon's bridge, Commander Elena Santos watched the Concordat fleet's movement with calculated interest. "They're taking offensive positions," Lieutenant Rivera reported from tactical. "Energy signatures rising across their fleet." "Dr. Chen," Elena called through the neural link. "Status of our quantum fields." "Ready for anything, Commander." Sarah's voice came back steady. "Though I really hope we don't have to show them everything we can do." Elena shared the sentiment. The Horizon's full capabilities were classified for good reason. "Open a channel to Admiral Zarkax's flagship." One last try at reason. The alien admiral's image appeared, his scales dark with barely controlled aggression. "Commander Santos, your time of playing at diplomacy is over. Submit to Concordat authority or be destroyed." Elena kept her voice calm, reasonable. "Admiral, you've seen a fraction of our capabilities. Your own scientists confirm we possess technology far beyond your understanding. Why push this to conflict?" "Because you are a threat." Zarkax's tail lashed behind him. "No species simply appears with such power and peaceful intentions. You plan conquest. Your restraint is merely tactical." "No, Admiral," Elena sighed. "We plan cooperation. But if you force this confrontation, you will learn exactly why we chose restraint. Stand down your fleet. You dare threaten. Not a threat. A fact. Last chance, Admiral. Honor and pride are poor substitutes for wisdom." Zarkax's scales flushed with rage. "All ships, open fire. Show these humans the might of the Concordat." Energy beams and plasma torpedoes erupted from 87 capital ships, enough firepower to shatter a small moon. Elena didn't even flinch. "Dr. Chen, Demonstration Protocol 1, if you please." The space around the horizons shimmered as multiple layers of quantum fields adjusted. The Concordat's barrage hit the outer layer and simply ceased to exist. Not deflected, not absorbed. The energy was gone, converted to quantum potential, and fed back into the Horizon systems. "Well," Sarah's voice carried a hint of amusement, "that just charged our batteries to 127% capacity. Should I send them a thank you note?" On the tactical display, the Concordat fleet's formation wobbled as they registered their attack's complete failure. "Status of their weapons?" Elena asked. "Recharging," Rivera reported. "They're diverting power from engines to weapons, preparing for another barrage." "Admiral Zarkax." Elena opened the channel again. "As you can see, Attacking us is pointless. However, since you seem to only respect demonstrations of power, she nodded to Rivera. Tactical, disable their weapon systems. Quantum pulse, minimum intensity. The Horizon's quantum drive pulsed once, sending a wave of carefully controlled quantum disruption across the Concordat fleet. Weapon systems sparked and went dark. Power cores stuttered. 87 capital ships suddenly found themselves unable to do more than maintain life support and basic maneuvering. By the first egg, Zarkax whispered, his rage replaced by shock. "What are you?" "We are human," Elena replied simply. "We developed this technology not for war, but because we dreamed of reaching the stars. We chose peace not from weakness, but because we understand that true power comes with responsibility." She stood from her command chair, approaching the tactical display. "Right now, I could disable your engines. I could shut down your life support. With a properly calibrated quantum pulse, I could reduce your entire fleet to its component atoms. But I won't, because humanity's strength isn't in our ability to destroy, but in our choice not to." "Choice." Zarkax's voice shook. "You leave us no choice. I leave you the most important choice, Admiral. Learn to coexist with a species more technologically advanced than yours, or cling to pride, and force us to demonstrate even more of our capabilities. I know which choice I hope you make." The bridge fell silent as they waited for the Admiral's response. Elena could almost see the conflict in his alien features, generations of military tradition warring with the undeniable reality before him. "The Concordat," he said finally, each word seeming to cause him physical pain, "requests a cessation of hostilities." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Granted, and we would be happy to help restore your ship's systems. After all, that's what peaceful species do for each other." "Commander," Sarah's voice came through the neural link. "Vexrith is hailing us. He says Calera's preliminary report on quantum field theory is causing quite a stir among their scientific community. Apparently, the possibility of cooperative research is making some very influential people reconsider their stance on human relations." "Excellent." Elena turned back to Zarkax's image. "Admiral, I believe Supreme Commander Vexrith has some interesting proposals regarding scientific and cultural exchange. Shall we discuss the future of human Concordat relations like civilized beings?" Zarkax's scales shifted through several colors before settling on a more neutral tone. You could have destroyed us at any time." "Yes, but that's not who we are. Humanity reached the stars not through conquest, but through innovation and determination. We'd rather lift others up than push them down." She paused, letting that sink in. "Now shall we begin again? This time with mutual respect rather than threats." As the Admiral struggled visibly with his new reality, Elena reflected on humanity's journey to this moment. They had developed quantum technology not to dominate, but to explore. Their strength came not from the power they wielded, but from the wisdom to know when not to wield it. "Your weapons," Zarkax said suddenly. "You could restore them." "Of course. The quantum disruption is temporary by design. We believe in defensive capabilities, not unnecessary destruction." The Admiral's posture shifted subtly, something Elena's stenobiology training identified as resignation mixed with dawning respect. Perhaps we have much to learn from humanity." "That's the best kind of first contact, Admiral," Elena smiled. "When everyone has something to learn." New dawn. 1 month after the confrontation, the UES Horizon's observation deck hosted an unprecedented gathering. Commander Elena Santos stood with Supreme Commander Vexrith and Admiral Zarkax, watching Dr. Sarah Chen guide a group of Concordat scientists through the basics of quantum field theory. "Their enthusiasm is remarkable," Vexrith observed, his mandibles clicking in amusement as Calera bombarded Sarah with questions about quantum cascade harmonics. "In just 4 weeks, they've begun grasping concepts that reshape our understanding of physics itself." "Understanding comes easier when you stop fearing the unknown," Elena replied, Noting how Zarkax's scales shifted color at her words, the Admiral had changed over the past month, his military rigidity softening as he witnessed the true potential of human Concordat cooperation. "We were blind," Zarkax admitted, his voice carrying none of its former arrogance. For millennia, the Concordat measured strength in weapons, in fleet numbers, in territories controlled. Yet here was humanity, wielding power we couldn't comprehend, offering friendship instead of demanding submission. Through the quantum-reinforced windows, they could see the joint research station taking shape. Human and Concordat ships worked together, their different technologies complementing each other as they constructed what would become the galaxy's premier center for quantum physics research. "The quantum principles alone will revolutionize our civilization." Kalera's excited clicks carried across the deck. "Clean energy, medical applications, environmental restoration. The possibilities are endless." Sarah caught Elena's eye and smiled. They both remembered the early days of the Quantum Drive project, when humanity first realized the technology's potential. Now they were sharing that moment of discovery with another species. "Tell me, Commander," Zarkax said quietly, "that day when my fleet attacked, how much were you truly holding back?" Elena considered her answer carefully. "Admiral, the quantum fold drive doesn't just bend space for FTL travel. It gives us fine control over the fundamental forces of reality itself. What you saw was perhaps 10% of our defensive capabilities, and virtually none of our other applications." The Admiral's secondary hearts visibly skipped a beat. "And yet you chose to disable rather than destroy, to demonstrate rather than dominate." "Because that's the true test of advancement," Elena replied. "Not whether you can destroy your opponents, but whether you choose not to. Humanity learned that lesson long ago, through centuries of our own conflicts." On the main deck below, Sarah was showing the Concordat scientists a holographic simulation of quantum field interactions. The aliens' expressions of wonder reminded Elena of humanity's own first steps into quantum physics, the same mix of disbelief, excitement, and endless possibility. "The Concordat Council has approved the Joint Research Initiative," Vexrith announced, his tone carrying pride. "And not just for quantum technology. They want to explore all areas of possible cooperation: medical science, environmental engineering, cultural exchange. The beginning of a new era." Elena nodded. "Though I suspect some of your more traditional military commanders are still uncomfortable with the situation." Zarkax chittered what Elena had learned was the Concordat equivalent of rueful laughter. "They are learning, as I did, that true strength isn't about having the biggest guns or the most ships. It's about having the wisdom to know when not to use them." A flash of light from the quantum field demonstration drew their attention. Sarah had created a miniature model of a star, contained within perfectly controlled quantum fields. The Concordat scientists watched in awe as she manipulated its energy output with casual precision. "A month ago, that display would have triggered a military response," Vexrith mused. "Now our scientists see it for what it is, a doorway to understanding the universe itself." "Understanding is the best cure for fear," Elena said. "And cooperation achieves more than competition ever could." The demonstration concluded, and Sarah began answering detailed technical questions from her eager audience. The sight of human and alien scientists working together, sharing knowledge and excitement, embodied everything humanity had hoped for when they first developed the quantum fold drive. "You know," Zarkax said thoughtfully, "there are other species in nearby sectors, some peaceful, some less so. They will react as we did when they learn of humanity's capabilities." Elena smiled. "Then we'll demonstrate the same patience with them. After all, we built the horizons not to conquer the galaxy, but to explore it, to learn, to grow, and to help others do the same. And if they choose conflict over cooperation," the Admiral pressed, "then we'll show them, as we showed you, that true power isn't about destruction. It's about having the capability for overwhelming force and choosing instead to extend a hand in friendship." Through the quantum glass, the stars seemed brighter somehow, Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as teachers and friends. The quantum fold drive had given them the power to reshape reality itself, but their greatest achievement wasn't in the technology. It was in how they chose to use it. Commander Santos. Sarah called up from the demonstration area. The Concordat scientists have some fascinating ideas about combining their bioorganic engineering with our quantum field technology. Would you like to hear their proposal? Elena exchanged glances with Vexrith and Zarkax, seeing in their alien features the same excitement for discovery that had driven humanity to the stars. Yes, she said, I would like that very much. As they moved to join the discussion, Elena reflected that this was exactly what humanity had hoped for when they first reached for the stars, not just to explore new frontiers, but to help others explore them too. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and now they had partners with whom to discover them. The quantum fold drive hummed softly in the background, its contained power a reminder that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in the ability to dominate, but in the choice to cooperate. They had reshaped the galaxy not through force, but through understanding. And this was just the beginning.